Good morning, folks. This is Larry Cedar live streaming to you on Facebook for another session of Sqanning, Sqanning. Sqanning is a relaxation technique which utilizes the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical and mental calm. So if you've been to these sessions before, you pretty much know the drill. It's a very simple technique. It's 3 basic steps. But today, I'm going to be going into a little more depth with the technique. I'm going to show you a little bit more how I actually practice it myself. And this is over the course of several years, I've sort of gotten more specific with how I practice it. So I'm going to be showing you that. But for those of you who haven't ever been here before, I just want to say that a lot of the principles I teach are based on the writings of a gentleman named Thaddeus Golas, Golas. He wrote a book called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment back in the 70s, I think. It was a little tiny thin book about 90 pages long, which I've pretty much read obsessively ever since. I actually like the book so much that I've practically memorized it. Anyways, in that book, he discusses the basic principles on which I base this technique. Now, he wrote an original edition, which is no longer in print. He did write an updated version where he edited and changed some of the theories he thought he'd gotten wrong. I personally believe the first edition was perfect. I have several copies of it. You can't find it anymore except used. You can buy the new edition, but again, I feel the first edition is the best and always will be. So, The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment by Thaddeus Golas. Excuse me. In the morning, I'm always just clearing my throat. So that's what this technique is based on. And I'm going to talk about that very briefly, and then we'll get right into it. Because we're starting a little early, but I've got to actually end a little early because I have an obligation to get to. So let's talk about what Thaddeus Golas said. Thaddeus Golas said that the basic 2 functions of the universe are contraction and expansion. Anything you perceive, anything you look at, anything you do in life can fall into one of those 2 categories. Something is either contracting or expanding. That's it. Your body is either in a state of contraction or expansion. And depending on how you react to your environment, how you deal with your life, you'll either be leaning more towards a contracted state or more towards an expanded or relaxed state. And for example, we exist because of a contraction of a series of materials and entities and energies that came together that formed us as a human body. A combination of chemicals and substances, later evolving into ideas and thoughts and personalities. These are all a contraction of things coming together to form us as a human being. When we pass, when our time is over, we expand or deconstruct and become, once again, dust. So there's a contraction as we form a life, and there's an expansion as it dissipates. The basic law of the universe is entropy. Entropy is the law of physics that says things will always tend towards chaos and disorder, or expansion. So the coming together requires effort and energy, the contraction, but left to its own devices, everything in the universe will, through entropy, expand and dissipate. So again, these are the 2 forces of life, contraction and expansion. So to be more specific, in looking at our lives and our state of being and our state of happiness and fulfillment, you might look at those 2 forces and interpret your life based on those 2 forces and say, am I in a more contracted state right now or a more expanded state? And you need both. Don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing contraction, it's the stuff of life. The words I'm using, this live streaming mechanism, these are contractions. These are things we've put together to exist as humans and be on this earth and relate to each other and be successful in our lives, make money, have family, and so forth. Contractions are what the stuff of life. The problem is, in modern society, we can become overly contracted. You can become obsessed with the things you pursue to make you happy. You can become obsessed with arguments and discussions in your mind. You can become obsessed with money or liquor or booze or liquor, drugs, anything, you name it. You can become obsessed with it as a thing that you need to have in your life to make you feel fulfilled and happy. We can become obsessed with contraction. But the truth of the matter is we need both. We need a balance. We need to alternate between expansion and contraction. We need to breathe. We need to open up. We need to allow the energy to flow. If we become too contracted, we become constricted. And many times in life, when you're feeling unhappy or unfulfilled, you might look to your life and say, am I out of balance? Am I too obsessed with the contractions, with the structures I've formed in my life? Is it time to release, to deconstruct, to unravel, to relax, and just be at your bare essence? So that's the whole philosophy behind this technique, which I call scanning. And by scanning, I mean basically we're going to be scanning the body and looking for pockets of tension and using a very simple technique to deconstruct, to expand, to open ourselves up, to let go of all the things we're holding on to, which become, in a sense, a prison for us. And we're going to find a very simple technique for letting go and creating a balance in your life so that you can go back to the constructions, the constructions of your life in a more relaxed, open state. That's all we're doing. Contraction, expansion, the technique, which I call scanning, through the incremental release of muscular tension, is an attempt to put balance into our life and find a way to a deep, relaxed state for the mind and body. That's it, contraction, expansion. So now to move on to the next logical assumption, the muscles are a very simple mechanism. They're either contracting or releasing. That's all muscles do. There's not much in between. They're either contracting or releasing. That's their basic function. My approach to this technique is that if we can relax the muscles of the body, induce a deep state of relaxation, the mind will follow, because the mind is a muscle of sorts, and the body tends to want to be a whole. It tends to want to be in sync with itself. So if you begin to relax certain portions and parts of your body, others will follow, until eventually you've induced this deep state of relaxation and you've quieted your mind. You've calmed your thoughts, you've stopped obsessing, you've stopped holding on to external things, and you've come back into yourself, or what I call home. And as we all know, we go home to replenish and rejuvenate ourselves. And that's what I'm hoping we can achieve with this technique. So, let's get started. Clasp your hands together, gently grasping your hands together. And I want you, because 90% of this technique is building a sense of awareness of your body, I want you to clasp those hands together and really pay attention to what it feels like to exert that muscular contraction, to hold that, the energy it takes, the concentration it takes, and how it feels. There's nothing wrong with contraction. We do it to perform and function in our life, but I want you to pay attention specifically, tune into your body, how that feels, because in a moment I'm going to ask you to do the opposite. I'm going to ask you to completely release that tension or expand. 3, 2, 1, release. And register very, very intently, very focused what that felt like in comparison to the contraction. Do it again. Contracting the hands. 3, 2, 1, release. Now, if you're anything like me, that sense of release will pass into your chest or some other part of your body. And you may feel an impulse to take a deep breath. Take it. You've already started down the road to complete expansion, to complete muscular release. And that's the goal. So let's do it again. Gently squeeze the hands together, and on my count, you're going to completely release and pay very close attention to the difference in feeling between contraction, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, release. Pay very close attention to how that felt in your body. Deep breath. And I would suggest at this point that you may begin to feel an impulse from your body to take a deep breath. Your body now senses that there's some relaxation going on in some quadrant. And the body likes to be in sync with itself. It doesn't like to be at odds with itself. If one part of you is doing something, the body likes to sink into that part. That's why tension, worry spreads through your body and you become a nervous wreck. Because when one section of your body is tense, the rest tends to want to get in sync. So as you feel that sense of release, let that sense of release pass through your body. And if your body tells you to take a breath, take it. And again, note to yourself, how does that feel? Because the process of incremental release is just that. We are incrementally, in very small amounts, releasing tension, progressively moving into a direction of deeper and deeper physical release, but just by tiny portions, because That's the way to gently persuade your body of the direction you want it to go. And the body responds to gentle persuasion. It does not respond to extreme command. It freezes up. So we're gently persuading the body through this little small practice. Clench the hands together, and on my count, 3, 2, 1, release. Let that sense of release pass through your body. Really, really pay attention to how that feels. Take a deep breath. Incremental release of muscular tension. We have now released the muscular tension in our body, a very, very small amount. But if you pay attention to it, you really register how that feels, you're beginning to build a heightened awareness of what it feels like to release tension as opposed to create it. And we spend 90% of our day creating tension, just because we have to gear up to face our life. These are the tools of life. And I'm trying to encourage in you and myself, because I'm going through this now with you, an awareness, a heightened awareness of the practice of release. So we have that tool available to us in the day to bring balance into our life. Let's do it again. Gently clasping the hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. And let that sense of release pass through your body. And register what that feels like, particularly in contrast to the contraction. Deep breath. So those are the first 2 steps of the technique. Contracting, paying very close attention to what a contraction feels like, and then on my count, 3, 2, 1, release. Let that sense of release pass through your body and take a deep breath to encourage it. Release even more tension on the exhale. Those are the first 2 steps, and step 3 is sit in complete stillness and quiet, investigating every corner of your body and how you feel now is compared to how you felt 2 minutes ago. 15 seconds. Deep breath. Let's do the cycle again. Step 1, clasp your hands together. Take note of what it feels like to exert muscular contraction. On my count, you're going to completely release and let that sense of release pass through your entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. Feel it all the way down to your toes. Let it transport through your body. Deep breath. Step 3, sit in absolute stillness and silence and pay very close attention to how that sense of release has affected your body and how it feels. In particular, pay attention to the beating of your heart. Take a breath if you feel like. You may start to notice a slight throbbing in your feet, your hands, your extremities, your face, as your veins and capillaries and arteries open up and the blood flows more freely. Now, this state that you're beginning to feel, this, as I described it, is home. Stay there as long as you like. Because what's begun to happen as you've begun to re-enter your body and you have a heightened awareness of your body, you're beginning to let go of the external concerns and worries and efforts that you've been hanging on to. You're losing your sense of time. Your worries and anxieties are vanishing from your thoughts. Your body is beginning to relax, because once the body starts down this path, it's very happy and it wants to continue. So it's like pushing a very heavy truck. The first 2 feet, if the brakes are off and it's idling, are hard, but once you get momentum, it will begin to pick up momentum, and your body will eventually, at some point, and for me it's usually around 10 minutes in, it will take over and just let go. Stay in that state. Pay very close attention to what that feels like. Indulge yourself in that feeling, because again, 90% of the technique of scanning is building a consciousness of your body, building a heightened awareness of how your body feels, how you can alter your state of being, how you can let go of muscular tension. And you'll see as we get further down this road, I will take longer and longer moments of silence, because again, that's the goal. When you get to a place where you feel like you have nowhere to go, nothing you have to do, nothing you need to think about, when you get to a place where you can just sit and be, when all the pressure is off, no one is calling to you, you have no obligations in this moment except to be. The muscles contract in anticipation of an obligation or responsibility, something you feel you need to deal with, gear up for. When you remove that responsibility, that sense of obligation, that sense of anticipation, you're left with a completely relaxed body. And by association, a completely relaxed mind. Deep breath. This is the destination. Still, quiet contemplation. And by contemplation, I mean focus and awareness of your state of being, the beating of your heart, your lungs as they fill with air and exhale, the throbbing sensation in your limbs as the blood flow increases and you have stronger circulation. And you can encourage all those sensations with your mind. You can actually have a lot more of an effect on your body than you may even realize. And part of this process, this technique, is building a sense of control over your own body, and in that way your own destiny. And when you feel in control of your own body and destiny, you can relax. You don't feel so buffeted by life. If you feel like your anxiety is out of control, you have now the tools, or you will begin to have the tools, to calm yourself, to center yourself, to heal yourself. By practicing this regularly, you'll begin to have an innate consciousness of your own ability to calm yourself, to still yourself, to heal yourself. And all it takes is a few minutes a day. I deliberately designed this technique to be as simple as possible. I didn't want to have to make an appointment with anyone, a masseuse, a therapist, a chiropractor. I didn't want to have to write anything down or read anything. I wanted this technique to be something where I could be anywhere, anytime, and sit down and just calm myself. I'm trying to build in myself and in you a sense of the great value of stillness and quiet and release. We don't think about it much. We know we need it. But it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of concentration, and it takes a little bit of willingness to be vulnerable because you're letting down your guard. But it has such value. Because if we can return to a place of stillness and quiet and contentment and release, we just feel better about ourselves. And then you can re-enter the world and face the challenges you need to face and engage with the people you want to engage with a calm mind, a relaxed and calm body, a clear head, a sense of compassion, because you've got what you need. You found your calm, so that leaves you free to give to others. A lot of times in life, when we're selfish, when we're unkind to people, it's because we feel depleted. We feel lacking. We feel a need to serve ourselves first. We feel like we're not happy. But when you are content, and when you feel satisfied, and when you feel at peace within yourself, you are free to give to others. So we're working to find our way to a place of contentment. And how do you become content? When you feel like there's nothing you need to do but be. And you can actually experience the joy of breathing, the beating of your heart, the powerful function of your lungs, the sensations in your muscles and legs. Scanning is a very sensual experience. It heightens your sensation of your own body. You come back into yourself. And that's satisfying because we lose, as they say, touch with ourselves. So here we go again. Very simple process. Step 1, clasp the hands together. Pay very close attention to what that contraction feels like. There's only 2 forces in life, contraction and expansion. Contract, and on my count, you're going to completely release that contraction and let that sense of release pass through your entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. Feel it like a wave pass through your body, like you've dropped a pebble in a lake and the rings, the ripples are passing out and through your body. Feel it transport all the way down to the tips of your toes, to the top of your head. You are now in a much deeper state of release and relaxation. It's incremental, but think about where you started. That's what we're trying to do. The slightest amount of release has great value. Once again, clasp the hands, feel what that feels like. 3, 2, 1, release. Let that release pass through your entire body. And then step 2, deep breath. Step 3, we're going to do 30 seconds now, complete stillness and quiet and a heightened sensation of the state of being. Pay attention to the beating of your heart, the coursing of your blood, how you're now feeling the muscles of your legs and arms and back. You're more aware of them now because the muscles have relaxed and released, allowing sensation back in. 30 seconds. Deep breath. And again, I'd like to remind you that when I teach these sessions, I'm doing it with you. I'm having the same sense of awareness as you. And I always notice every time that when I finally get to home, as I call it, or closer to it, what I begin to notice is I forget that I'm teaching a session. I forget what time it is. We carry around so much. So many things we need to be doing and thinking about, and this process is all about letting all of that go, because no matter how busy your life, no matter how many things you're worried about and need to resolve, everyone can spare 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. 5 minutes to drop all sense of obligation, responsibility, fear, just drop it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We can all spare that. Deep breath. Okay, so that's the basic technique, and I'm hoping you're feeling like I am, more relaxed. I would say that if I started with a 10, and be honest, I would say I'm at a 7. I would like to get to 1, but any amount, it's the incremental release of muscular tension. Any amount is progress. So you can practice this as much as you like, but never judge how successful you were in any session. If you incrementally release the smallest amount, it has value, not just because you relax the muscles, but because in doing that, you have acknowledged, you're teaching yourself. It's like you're raising your own child, and you're teaching your inner child that this has value. It's not fun, but it's important that you brush your teeth. You don't want to get cavities, but there's value in it. So if you even take a moment to do this, you've acknowledged that letting go, coming back into yourself, being still and quiet, releasing the musculature, calming the mind, has value. Even if you do it for 30 seconds, you've said, this is an important thing I need to do in my day. And that begins to become internalized in you, so that everywhere you go in life from this point forward, yes, you're tense, yes, you have to try hard, but you also know, I got to take a moment somewhere in my day, in the next half hour even, in the next moment, to take 2 minutes and just release. That's going to help me as much as anything else I do in my life. Maybe more. So in the last few minutes of the session, what I want to do is closer to the way I practice this technique, which is more specific. We're using the hands now as a metaphor for release. But you can also, if you get to a state where you can really be quiet and have concentration, you can specifically focus on particular parts of your body. I have, for me, created 8 zones of the body that I cycle through. as a means of, again, incrementally releasing tension, gradually moving my body and self into a place of release and relaxation. I start with the face, so let's do that. When I say the particular zone, I want you to concentrate on a certain degree of tension you experience in that area, and on my count, I want you to incrementally release some of that tension, the face. 3, 2, 1, can you feel it? Release. Did you feel that slight change? Again, the face. 3, 2, 1, release. My face is that much more relaxed. Incremental. And you're building. So anything you put into that piggy bank stays in that bank. And eventually, you got some dough. Top of the head. Pay attention to the tension you may be feeling in the top of your head. 3, 2, 1. Do you feel it? Release it. There's a sensation of falling away with the muscles. When you release and they let go, they tend to just relax and more or less hang from your structure, your skeleton. So if you feel that sense of dropping or release, that's good. Again, the top of the head. Focus on whatever tension is in that area. 3, 2, 1, release. And you'll begin to feel how these zones are connected. As you release here, you'll feel it here and vice versa. Zone 3, the back of the head. Focus in on whatever tension you feel in that area. Direct your focus into that area. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. And again, focus on the back of the head. Register how much tension you have in that musculature. 3, 2, 1, release. Now your whole head, you've reduced the tension incrementally. Moving on to the neck. 3, 2, 1, register the tension and release. Again, the neck. Focus your attention on whatever tension you may have. 3, 2, 1, incremental release. The slightest amount, let go. All you're doing is this, letting go. So if you imagine you have a hand around your neck, 3, 2, 1, let go. Let go. Moving on, the shoulders, which I call zone 5. Feel that? We always get that. Our shoulders go up around our necks. 3, 2, 1, and release. Feel them drop? Now you've done your face, the top of your head, the back of your head, your neck, and your shoulders. This whole part of your body is incrementally more relaxed. And pay attention. Really register that sensation. It's very important that you validate the slightest change in the musculature. Very valuable. That's what we're doing with this technique. We're teaching ourselves the value of release and simultaneously reassuring ourselves that we can do it, that we have a mastery of our own body because we're approaching it incrementally. It's not a huge hurdle, small. We've done the shoulders. One more time on the shoulders. Focus on the tension in your shoulders. 3, 2, 1, release. Now, you've done this entire upper portion of your torso. Do you feel the difference? Deep breath. That's zone 5. Zone 6, the front, the chest, and the stomach. Pay attention to whatever tension you feel in that area. On my count, completely release it, incrementally. 3, 2, 1, tiny release, release. And again, pay attention to what you're feeling, the tension you're holding. 3, 2, 1, and release it. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm still always astonished at how much tension I'm holding, even when I don't think I'm holding tension. I do this and I go, damn, I was holding on tension in all these areas. Now we're going to move into zone 7, which is the back and down into the pelvis. It's a large area, but the further into this we go, the larger swaths of body we can cover, because now your entire body's beginning to relax. Pretty soon, this is going to be a whole body endeavor. So the back, feel the tension in your back. You've already let go of the face, the head, the back of the head, the neck, the shoulders, the front. Now feel it in your back. 3, 2, 1, ready, release. Did you feel the muscles just let go the tiniest a bit and just sort of like start to hang from your structure? They're just relaxing. There's nowhere you need to go. There's nothing you need to do. It's safe. You can become completely vulnerable. You can drop the muscular shield. Again, focusing on the back. 3, 2, 1, release. And finally, we've moved into the back and pelvis. And finally, I want you to feel a release down your legs and into your feet in particular. Because as you know from reflexology, a lot of the nerves of the feet are connected to the organs of the body. So by relaxing your feet, by inducing that throbbing sensation, by opening the blood flow, you're helping your entire body. So become aware of the tension in your legs and feet. And on my count, you're going to completely release it. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. And again, feeling whatever tension remains in your feet and legs. 3, 2, 1, release. Slightest bit. Now we've done 8 zones. The face, top of the head, the back of the head, the neck. The shoulders, the front, the back and pelvis, the legs and feet. And now you're starting to just sink into your chair. Now your body is not fighting this position anymore. You're basically giving in to just being. So that's where we take step 3, and we sit for 15 seconds in complete stillness and pay very close attention to how you're feeling. Not emotionally, physically. This is a physical technique. 15 seconds. Deep breath. And again, it just doesn't matter how far or how little you've relaxed. What matters is that you're acknowledging that this is a valid and important process. And you can take it as far as you like. You can do this for an hour, you can do it for 5 minutes, but you've acknowledged that this is important. This is something you need to reintroduce into your day, your toolbox. We reach for so many things in the course of a day. Think of us, we're all sitting around now during this pandemic. What do I do with my day? Well, I do some work. I go on the internet. I watch TV. I eat something. Okay? Other things, which, I won't get into details if you're in a relationship. Other things you can busy yourself with. But we just reach externally for so many things to satisfy ourselves, to make ourselves feel at peace, to successfully approach our day. I'm adding to this an additional tool for your life toolkit, and that's release, let go, do nothing, open, expand, breathe, exist, go to nothing. Just take a moment to experience what it is to be a human being. Physically. Deep breath. A lot of people are very frightened by this process because they don't want to feel. Because feeling can sometimes make you very nervous. It's something you can't necessarily control. As an actor, I'm trained to go to a place of feeling, but it's still uncomfortable even for me. Because it can be unruly. It can be a little unstable. But what I found through this technique is that when I go there, when I get there, I'm so at peace because I'm just in my own skin. And there's nothing I need to do. There's nowhere I need to go. There's nothing I need to say. There's no argument I need to win. There's no thought I need to have about myself. I don't need to judge myself, and I don't need to judge anyone else. I can just be. We're allowed to just be. It's a valid place, but we have to give ourselves permission. We have to encourage ourselves to go to that place, and sometimes we need a little help in the form of a technique to get us there. So in summation, because we're coming to the end of a session, this technique, and I won't call it my technique because this has been done for thousands of years, you know it instinctively. I'm just reminding you of this tool you have available. I gave it a name to identify it, but it's something you already know. You own it. In using this technique, we're saying, well, this is sometimes a difficult place to get to, but if I approach it physically, not mentally, there's no rational way. You can't outsmart your own brain. You can't think yourself into a state of calm. I mean, I don't think you can. But you can approach the muscles, which are very basic, simple organs, which only know how to contract and expand, and you can say, I just want you to relax, to release incrementally a little bit. Start there. If you do nothing else in the course of a day but go, I'm contracted, and now, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to release and register what that feels like. You've won, and you're done. That's it at its core. Everything else I've said is an extrapolation. It's a continuation of that theory. But in practice, it couldn't be simpler. Contraction, 3, 2, 1, expand, let that happen. Give yourself that gift of just being. Deep breath. And again, I'm going to tell you what I'm feeling because I'm in this with you. I'm feeling an increased blood flow. I have a heightened awareness of my legs, my back. I feel a decrease in muscular tension in the areas where I normally carry it, like my neck. I'm feeling an ability to breathe more deeply. I'm feeling less of a sense of compulsion to go do anything. I could just, the way I'm feeling right now, I could just sit here for another 10 minutes, just sit here, and I'd be very pleased to do that. Deep breath. And you can't stay here all day. We have things to do. We got to get out. We got to tackle the world. But you deserve, and your body needs to come back to this place. It's the foundation of it all. You were born into this world. You were born a pure creature with no sense of anything but existing. And that's the beautiful ground of our being that we need to revisit, to remind ourselves that we're beautiful creatures with all our flaws, and it can be very pleasurable to just be a human being. And we need to remind ourselves that so we can love ourselves. And by the way, love is complete expansion, because when you love, you open yourself to others. You become from this to this, and you can join with others. So it's important that you love yourself, and this process helps you love yourself because you begin to experience yourself and validate and enjoy what you are. Hi, Richard. Richard says, I feel relaxed and also feel my heart beating. Thanks. You are so welcome, Richard. Always a pleasure to have you. It's so important that we experience ourselves, that we feel our heart beating, that we feel our skin, that we feel our breath, that we feel the muscles in our body and how pleasurable it can be to have those sensations. It's really important that we celebrate what glorious creatures we are. Because then, as I've said earlier, when you are self-satisfied, then you are free to go and give to others because your needs have been met. It's like on a plane. You take the oxygen mask first so you can help the kids. Well, you take a little oxygen for yourself. You replenish yourself so that you can then go out and help others, which ultimately is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It's been proven many times that nothing makes people happier than giving to others. And that's why I'm doing this session, because it makes me happier to share this with you. It's that simple. So that's it for today. I will wrap up by saying the technique is called Sqanning, S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G. Scanning as in scanning the body. You're doing a search of your body. You're finding pockets of tension and you're incrementally releasing that muscular tension incrementally for the purpose of achieving a deep state of physical and mental calm. If you came in late and want to see more of this or want to watch it again, I'll repost this session on Facebook immediately after the session. It'll be on for like 24 hours, and then I move everything over to my Facebook Sqanning page. If you do a search on Facebook for my Sqanning page, S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G, you will see all of these sessions. They're all on there, and you can pick and choose whichever you like. And then I also post these sessions to my YouTube page. Again, S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G, Sqanning, and you can watch them there. Otherwise, I'll try to be back. I try to do this 3 times a day, but that's rare. I usually put in at least 2 around 11 in the morning or around there. Another around 4, and then another in the evening. So come on back. I'll always try to announce it. Loved having you. Thank you so much for visiting. And Janet, thank you for sharing this with your class. I love that. The more the merrier. Everyone who's visited, thank you. And I hope to see you again later. And I encourage you to try this. I encourage that we all love ourselves and that in turn love others as a way to heal this world. Have a good day. Bye.